We are inside the royal palace. So I don't know, you guys. Oh, what's that?
Not the Gloria.
What's on the
It's
top?
far to walk.
But it's also included to that.
No, the walk is for free. Inside is just a cafe. If you like, we can take photos there, but you need to walk quite much. Because it's uphills in zig. If you like, most welcome.
But how about your knees? Where we we start from this, the palace in the 19th century. That guy is Michael Jackson. Let's give them the right information. Yeah. Historian people would love this place. Who loves history or something. Yeah, exactly. So where we go next? Gate A. Oh, looks like airport already to me again. Yes. So we are at the Royal Palace. Yes, this is the Royal Palace. Tonbanforer. Income. Entrance. Entree. What do we need here?
The audio guide.
Oh, just audio?
Explanation. Yeah, sure.
Oh, wow.
Easy.
I thought it's like a person.
Das klappt.
Welches Ticket ist das? Auf Deutsch?
Kann man Deutsch oder Englisch? Die junge Dame braucht Englisch.
Das ist Deutsch. Englisch jedenfalls. 0 und dann hier zum Start.
Okay, just press 0 and then click.
Alright. But how does work? I mean, this.
Press the 0.
Yeah.
Start button, and then just listen to what they say.
Like how this gadget know that we are on the right place that he will
At the
explain.
end of every room, you say, you proceed now to room number blah blah blah.
Ah, okay.
This button to continue.
Ah, right.
And once you're
Okay.
there, you press.
So every room has a number, maybe.
Yes.
All right.
You're gonna press the 0, start.
It's just like a red carpet sound. This is a tour guide.
Yes.
Can you hear it? It's going. I'm calling my mom.
You should continue with 1. 1.
I'm not finishing.
1 and start. 1 and play. And play. 1 and play. Wait a bit. So, next room.
It's fast forward. It's fast forward.
Franz Joseph's grandfather, Emperor Franz I. The central paintings depict the first awarding of the Order of Maria Theresa in 1758. Founded by Maria Theresa, this was the monarchy's first Order of Merit, one of the highest honours bestowed by the imperial dynasty. The paintings on the left and right commemorate the centennial anniversary of the Order's foundation. Franz Joseph held a magnificent banquet in the Great Gallery, which you will see later on this tour, as well as a reception in the palace grounds to mark the event.
This room gets its name from the precious gold paneling, which together with its gilded ornamentation and the console tables belong to the original Rococo decor of the time of Maria Theresa.
There is a volume here? No. A volume? Maybe the upper side? You think so?
In order to thank the monarch for the award of an honor, to lodge a request, or to present themselves on receiving an official position. These audiences lasted for a few minutes and were brought to an end by the emperor inclining his head slightly and pronouncing in an unvarying formula that the audience had been a pleasure for him. You will now hear an original recording of the emperor saying this phrase.
Not that one.
Franz Joseph ascended the Austrian imperial throne when he was only 18. He dealt with a phenomenal amount of work each day. Starting before 5 o'clock in the morning, he spent the day at his desk, which you can see here on the
Michael
right,
Jackson.
where he worked diligently through the files put in front of him.
Moonwalk.
He even had his breakfast and lunch served to him at this desk. This was how the first public servant of his state, as he liked to describe himself, spent most of his time.
One has to work until one is completely exhausted.
Was one of his favorite sayings. The emperor did not want his rooms to be decorated in a sumptuous style. He was content to surround himself with private paintings, photographs of his family, and mementos given to him by his children and grandchildren. One of the two large portraits shows Franz Joseph at the age of 33, while the other depicts his wife, Empress Elizabeth, who has become a myth under her abbreviation, Sissy. Running to a strict schedule, the emperor's daily routine began at 4 o'clock in the morning. After rising and washing himself with cold water, the emperor, who was a strict Catholic, said his morning prayers kneeling on the praying chair, which you can see to the left of the bed. The iron bedstead is further evidence of the emperor's rather frugal lifestyle. Franz Joseph died in this bed at the age of 86 in 1916, after a reign of 68 years, amidst the turmoil of the First World War. The painting on the easel shows the emperor on his deathbed. During the course of his long life, the emperor had suffered numerous blows of fate. His eldest daughter, Sophie, died at the age of 2, and his brother Maximilian, Emperor of Mexico, was executed by revolutionaries. This was followed by the tragic suicide of his only son, Rudolph,
I will listen to
and the
paper.
assassination of Empress Elizabeth
I will
by an
listen to
Italian
paper.
anarchist. When he
In
was
this
brought the
video.
news of the death of his beloved angel Sissy, he said to his aide-de-camp, Count Parr,
You do not know how much I loved this woman.
at the exit to this room, on the left-hand side after the door, is the Emperor's lavatory. It was installed on the English system for Franz Joseph in 1899.
Before we continue with the tour, here is a brief preview of the next 3 rooms. These 3 small rooms are the terrace cabinet, the stairs cabinet, and the dressing room. The stairs cabinet was Empress Elizabeth's study, where she wrote numerous letters, her diaries, and her poetry. From here, a spiral staircase, which was removed after the fall of the monarchy, led down to the Empress's private apartments on the ground floor. The dressing room is dedicated to the daily routine of Elizabeth's beauty care. Elizabeth was considered to be one of the most beautiful women of her time, and was well aware of this. Her beauty, care, and sporting activities to keep her slender figure dominated the emperor's daily routine. The care of her magnificent ankle-length hair occupied several hours a day. Please cross the room now and enter room 9, the bedroom of Emperor Franz Joseph and Elizabeth. Please proceed to room 9.
Nine, he said.
Not yet. You've got an explanation for 3 rooms.
It's not working for 6?
7, 8, 6, 7, 8. There's no indicated description, just to start from.
Then you should speak for 6 and 7. Detail? What's that girl? Oh my god. She's still there. Shit. See the mirror? Room number 9. 9.
In 1854, Franz Joseph married his cousin Elizabeth, who was just 16 years old at the time. This room was furnished and decorated as their bedroom on the occasion of their marriage. Franz Joseph worshipped his wife all his life. Whether this affection was returned to the same degree remains a matter of speculation. Many years later, Elizabeth wrote,
Marriage is an absurd institution. One is sold as a 15-year-old child and makes a vow that one does not understand, and then regrets for 30 years or longer, but cannot undo.
Elizabeth rejected the structures of court life from the very beginning, and over the course of the years developed into a self-confident woman. She led an independent life, traveling extensively, and was rarely seen to be in Vienna. In September 1898, at the age of 61, Elizabeth was stabbed to death with a file by the Italian anarchist Luigi Lucchini in Geneva.
White gold paneling, pale silk wall hangings, and the sumptuous neo-rococo furniture determine the atmosphere. The clock in front of the mirror has a second mirror image face, so that it can also be read in the reflection. Take a closer look at the pastel portraits dating from the 18th century. They show some of Maria Theresa's children. The painting to the left of the stove shows Maria Theresa's youngest daughter, Marie Antoinette, in hunting dress. In 1770, at the age of 15, she was married to the heir to the French throne, later King Louis XVI, in order to set an end to the long-lasting enmity between France and Austria. Marie Antoinette was executed on the guillotine in 1793 during the course of the French Revolution. In this room, which served as the family dining room, you can see a table authentically set for an imperial family dinner. These followed strict court ceremonial, and the table was always festively decorated with gilded centerpieces decorated with flowers, fruit, and sweetmeats. At official dinners, French cuisine was served, but for family dinners, Franz Joseph preferred traditional Viennese dishes such as schnitzel, that's breaded escalope of veal, beef goulash, boiled beef, or the famous Kaiserschmarrn, which is a shredded sweet pancake with raisins. In order to keep the food fresh and warm until it was served, It was transported from the wing containing the court kitchens to the imperial apartments in heated boxes and kept warm in an adjoining room in warming ovens fueled by coal and later gas. The emperor sat at the center of the table, with the empress opposite him, on the rare occasions she was present. As Elizabeth often refused to eat in order to keep her slender figure, she seldom attended family meals.
Family dinners usually began at 6 o'clock in the evening and consisted of 3 to 6 courses. The dining service on the table has been loaned by the Imperial Silver Collection in the Vienna Hofburg, where a wealth of treasures in porcelain and silver is exhibited. The exhibits include the gold cutlery and condiment set of Maria Theresa, as well as the personal service of Empress Elizabeth, among many other fascinating objects. The children's room is decorated with portraits of Maria Theresa's daughters. Most of her 11 daughters were married off at a young age for political reasons. When her daughter Maria Josepha was about to be married off, she wrote,
"I regard poor Josepha as a victim of politics. If, by the by, she only fulfills her duty towards God and her husband, and sees to the salvation of her soul, then I shall be content, even if she were to be unhappy."
On the left, just beside the door, is the portrait of Maria Christine, Maria Theresa's favorite daughter. The only one of her daughters allowed to marry for love. Her husband was Albert of Saxony-Teschen, the founder of the Albertina. Here you can take a look into a bathroom which was installed for Zita, the last Habsburg empress, in 1917. Before you go into the next room, you can have a look into the breakfast cabinet. The applique works and the medallions decorated the walls were executed by Elizabeth Christine, the mother of Maria Theresa, and is yet another example of how the imperial family contributed to the decoration of the interior of the palace. Salon is the first room in the apartments, on the side of the palace facing the gardens. It contains some remarkable pastel paintings by the Genevan artist Lyotard, which show remarkable, realistic depictions of children from middle-class families. They contrast heavily with the typical courtly portraits of Maria Theresa's children, examples of which you can see in the next room. There you can also see a portrait of Maria Theresa, in a blue gown by the court painter Martin van Matens. Please proceed to room 16. Please proceed to room 16.
Family celebration during Maria Theresa's reign, among other occasions for small concerts. In 1762, this room saw the first concert given by the 6-year-old Mozart to the Empress. After the performance, according to his proud father,
Wilful jumped onto Her Majesty's lap, threw his arms around her neck and kissed her. This room, like the other two before it, is named after Joseph Mozart, the painter of the landscape. Emperor Charles VI in the War of the Succession. With his considerable financial expertise, France first played an important part in the final state of the imperial treasure. Please proceed to the next 3 rooms until you get to room number 21, the Great Gallery. Please proceed to room 21.
We're still. The 19.
Just look. This one we cross. Look at this one.
You are now in the Great Gallery, which was used by the imperial family for ballroom occasions, receptions and banquets. More than 40 meters long and almost 10 meters wide, the Great Gallery formed an ideal setting for festive events at court. Decorated with crystal glass mirrors, gilt stucco work and ceiling frescoes, it represents a sumptuous example of Rococo art. The frescoes are by Italian painter Gregorio Guglielmi and represent a glorification of Maria Theresia's reign. In the central fresco, we see Franz Stephan and Maria Theresia enthroned and surrounded by the personifications of the ruler's virtues, together with allegories of the crown lambs of the monarchy. The 2 carved and gilded wooden chandeliers used to take 70 candles each before the palace was electrified in 1901. Since the end of the monarchy, the Great Gallery has been used for concerts. In 1961, it was also the setting for the historic meeting between President Kennedy and his Russian counterpart, Khrushchev. Please proceed to the small gallery, which lies on the side of the palace facing the gardens. It was used for birthday celebrations and offers a wonderful view of the park and the Gloriette, which was built during Maria Theresia's reign on the crest of the hill opposite the palace. During recent restoration work, the small gallery has had its original glossy white finish, dating back to the 19th century, restored. In order to convey an authentic impression of the room, the wall lights have been fitted with special bulbs that imitate the flicker of candlelight, thus animating the glossy surfaces of the walls.
It's finished? That's it? That's it?
No.
Is there any like 24, 25 more? No.
I don't know how many more, but there's more.
But the rooms of the tour guide of this is finished?
No, why?
Okay.
Why?
There's 25.
Dahan.
Shui.
The carousel room owes its name to the large painting hanging on the left. It depicts the ladies' carousel held by Maria Theresia in the Winter Riding School of the Hofburg in 1743 to mark the recapturing of Prague in the War of the Austrian Succession. This winter riding school, today known as the Spanish Riding School, is still the setting for performances by the famous Lipizzaner stallions. Here Maria Theresia rides on a Lipizzaner in the center of the picture, followed by her ladies-in-waiting. To the left is a portrait of Maria Theresia's father, Emperor Charles VI, wearing a sumptuous Spanish coat dress.
If your ticket is for the Imperial Tour, your visit will come to an end in the next room. Please enter the number 26 for the audio commentary. If your ticket is for the Grand Tour, then in the next room, please go to the right and show your admission ticket to one of our members of staff in order to continue your Grand Tour. For the room's audio commentary, please enter the number 27.
27. See?
He didn't tell me anything. He didn't tell me anything.
I told you they decorated to us, not finished yet.
Yeah, this one is just, they just put it. There's nothing like this in their time. Why?
You see that? No photos, no videos.
But yeah,
It's a lady smiled at you because you do it in front of her, you're not even shy.
I know.
At the beginning of the 19th
That's what you said,
century.
authority.
The room was the setting for the historic negotiations that culminated in the renunciation by Karl I, the last emperor of Austria, of participation in the affairs of government on 11 November 1918.
It's not allowed.
The following day saw the proclamation of
No,
the
it's
Republic
not
of
allowed.
Austria, marking the end of more
It's
than
not
6
allowed.
centuries of Habsburg rule.
I will close it.
Continue.
However, since Karl refused to abdicate from the throne, he and his family were forced to go into exile. He died on the island of Madeira in 1922. As the last empress of Austria.
The Napoleon room recalls the French emperor who resided in this room, once the bedroom of Maria Theresa. Both times he occupied Vienna, in 1805 and 1809. The marriage of Napoleon to Marie-Louise, daughter of Emperor France II in 1810, was intended to cement the peace between the two rulers. After the fall of Napoleon, Marie-Louise returned with her son to the court of Vienna for the time being. As a result of the Congress of Vienna, held from 1814 to 1815, she was eventually given the Duchy of Parma, but only on the condition she leave her son, the Duke of Reichstadt, in Vienna. The European powers insisted that, as the only son of Napoleon, little Prince Francis, as he was called at court, was to remain politically insignificant and to grow up in isolation in the Viennese court under the guardianship of his grandfather. Like all male Habsburgs, following a family tradition, he learned to trade. The painting in front of you shows him as a little gardener. He died from a lung disease in 1832, aged just 21. The bust shows him on his deathbed. On the console table, you can see his beloved pet, a crested lark. In the porcelain room that follows, we again return to the time of Maria Theresa, who used this little room as a study and for playing games of cards. The carved wooden framing, painted blue and white to imitate porcelain, covers the walls completely up to the ceiling. Set into this carving is a total of 213 pen and ink drawings, which were executed by French Stefan and some of his children, including Marie-Christine, who is portrayed in one of the portrait medallions. She was the Empress's favorite daughter, and the only one of her children who was allowed to marry the man she loved, Duke Albert of Saxony-Teschen. Please proceed to room 32.
Shoot. Do it.
He always like it illegal.
Yes, do it. Don't stop now. Continue.
You are now in the most valuable room in the palace, known as the Millions Room. It owes its name to the wall paneling made of extremely rare types of rosewood, into which are set Indo-Persian miniatures. Depicting scenes from private and court life of the Mongol rulers of the 16th century India, they were cut up by members of the imperial family and reassembled to form new images in a sort of collage. The Millions Room also features typical example of playful spirit of the Baroque age, when optical illusions were very popular. Crystal mirrors are hung on both sides of the room, reflecting one another and creating the illusion of infinite space. from the 18th century. The tapestries on the walls depict market and harbour scenes, while the chairs are upholstered with tapestries representing 12 months of the year and the signs of the zodiac. The next room, room 34, which was the study of Archduchess Sophie, was part of the suite occupied by Franz Joseph's parents, Archduke Franz Karl and Archduchess Sophie, who resided here in the 19th century. Sophie was an ambitious mother who energetically and successfully pursued her aim of putting her son on the Habsburg throne. She was also the most important political advisor. Contemporaries described the Archduchess as the only man at the Viennese court. Her relations with her daughter-in-law, Empress Elizabeth, who was always her niece, were tense, and she was one of the main reasons why Sissi always felt ill at ease at the Viennese court. Elizabeth frequently complained about the way her mother-in-law consistently kept watch on her, treating her as if she were a child. She wrote to one of the ladies-in-waiting,
I spent the whole day alone and dreaded the moment when Archduchess Sophie would appear. She came every day to spy on me every hour to see what I was doing. Everything I did was wrong. The smallest thing was an affair of state.
Please proceed to room 35.
Portraits in this room show the emperors from the end of the 18th century, starting with Maria Theresa's son Leopold II, who followed Joseph II. Beside him is his son Franz, the last Holy Roman Emperor. In 1806, under pressure from the military victories won by Napoleon, he dissolved the Holy Roman Empire and proclaimed the Empire of Austria. Thus, Franz II became the first Emperor of Austria as Franz I. Following the Habsburg tradition of pursuing alliances by marriage to acquire influence and territory, rather than by waging war, he married his eldest daughter, Marie-Louise, to Napoleon, and his second daughter, Leopoldine, to the Emperor of Brazil. Her portrait is displayed here on the easel in front of you. The other portraits show Emperor Ferdinand and his wife, Maria Anna. Ferdinand was the eldest son of Emperor Franz, and was popularly known by the affectionate nickname of Ferdinand the Kind-Hearted. He was epileptic and incapable of ruling. The real ruler of the Austrian monarchy during that period was State Chancellor Metternich, who was known as the coachman of Europe, for the way he controlled European policy by means of skillful diplomacy. Please proceed through the terrace cabinet, which originally led out onto the terrace to one side of the parade court, and continue into the rich room. The rich room is named after the only surviving bed of state from the Viennese court. It was made at the time of Maria Theresa's marriage and originally stood in Maria Theresa's private apartments in the Vienna Hofburg. The wall hangings with embroidered architectural elements also belong to this bed of state, with its draperies of red velvet and gold and silver embroidery.
Together with the adjoining salon, this room was part of the suite occupied by Archduke Franz Karl, the father of Franz Joseph in the 19th century. The paintings again take us back to the reign of Maria Theresa. The famous family portrait by Martin van Matens shows Emperor Franz Stephan and Maria Theresa surrounded by their children. The imperial couple had 16 children, 11 daughters and 5 sons, of whom 11 survived into adulthood. Missing from the painting are 2 children who were born later and 3 who had already died. One of the main duties of a ruling family was to produce as many heirs to the throne as possible in order to ensure the continuation of the dynasty. Opposite the family portrait are paintings of the women who played an important role in the life of Maria Theresa. To the right of the mirror is her mother, Elizabeth Christine, and on the left is Countess Fuchs, one of the governesses and later close confidant of the monarch. As an expression of her fondness, Maria Theresia had her buried in the imperial tomb in the crypt of the church of the Capuchin friars, the only non-member of the Habsburg family to be accorded this honor. The next room, known as the hunting room, will conclude our tour. Passionately fond of hunting and shooting. On the left hand of the room, you see portraits of Maria Theresia's parents, Charles VI and his wife Elizabeth Christine, in hunting costume. Between them is Franz Stephan, later husband of Maria Theresia, as a boy. Franz Joseph was also famous for his passion for shooting. Even as a child, he shot sparrows and pigeons in the park of Schönbrunn. The Habsburgs were passionately fond of hunting and shooting. On the left side of the room, you can see portraits of Maria Theresia's parents, Charles VI and his wife Elizabeth Christine, in hunting costume. Between them is Franz Stephan, later husband of Maria Theresia, as a boy. Franz Joseph was also famous for his passion for shooting, and even as a child he shot sparrows and pigeons in the park of Schönbrunn. To the right of the door is a painting which shows Schönbrunn in its earlier form as a hunting lodge designed by Fischer von Erlach. This concludes our tour of the imperial apartments and staterooms on the first floor. You have now arrived in the last room of your tour. Thank you for visiting Schönbrunn Palace. We will be pleased to welcome you to Schönbrunn Zoo, as well as to the collections of the Imperial Furniture Collection, to the Imperial Apartments with the Sissi Museum, and to the Imperial Silver Collection in the Vienna Hofburg. As well as visiting the Hofburg, the city residence of the Imperial Habsburg dynasty, why not take the opportunity of touring Schloss Hof, a magnificent Habsburg palace with unique Baroque gardens only an hour's drive from Vienna. Please don't forget to place your audio guide.
Wait.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes, okay. So that's the back side now.
This is the back of the castle. This and look at the sky.
Yeah, Austria also has a sky, surprisingly enough.
This is the sky of Austria.
No, Vienna.
Vienna. This is the sky of Vienna. Isn't it angry? Angry.
Angry or hangry?
And hungry.
Hungry and angry.
Ah, look at that.
This is where we go now.
What's the name of that?
The Gloriette.
The Gloriette. We will go to the Gloriette. In Philippines, we have Glorieta.